Chris, I do a lot of race. I want to give me here.
1 second.
I want to give me the crystal archangels method. Okay. With the sponsorship.
It's to flag the locations and to mark it off set line. Okay, so 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. Okay. Just setting up code settings. Dimension line interference type specification of pi. You guys have to recognize all communication line and line specification track lines. We have specification endorphins. What are endorphins? What are endorphin line interference? What is that specification high system? It's correlated individual and line rotation specification of dolphins. Endorphins, dolphins. Endorphins, energy lines, energy track interference into specifications. Serotonin, dopamine line interference, line position, dopamine. Setting correlation system and high line specification line system. If you understand the track line communication of series A in certain location of series B, you got a correlation line sending a bounce communication and looking at high setting. Now that line interference location puts a Y line center to a high specification energy line as a bandwidth correlation unification operation signals. The high specification high sys location is bandwidth over pi. The specification of formation location is line communication flight navigations to 1 to 12 line rotation interference high specification tractions. Now, because you guys are on a higher level of position line settings, we can finally get started, okay, through space line communication anomalies. The setting communication line in and line position location is the levels counter relation setting when it comes in position location of pi, charts of pi, correlations of pi, activations of pi, streams of pi, electrical line communication line interference, discharge communications of pi, pulsar communications, compulsory line connections of pi, line communications of pi, allocate position of times of 3, position location of 6, line position of 9, 9 position location of 6, line position of 7, 7 line position of 8, inhibitors, line communication north, south, south, east, correlation system location, balance, high system. Directing line signals is directing location system to high setting. Now, direction of timelines and high position location of levels, but position location high system. You guys have a quiz in set lines and high position location of tracks. Information panel. Is it a high line rotation appearance at all positions of quasar sets? This is where it comes into line position location, quadrant line position of channel, streamline interference, line position location on the system. You allocate line sending, line specification of levels, sets line specification of metric streams. Now, a metric stream communication system is really understand how to use the dopamine line and line rotation, serotonin communication setting, line specification operation location is AI position location traction. Recognizing communications, all levels of line settings, really in position locations. Now, in line setting, we're going to open up higher level position directions. There we come into 41 channels. 41 line setting, line interference, high direct locations and position. Now, changing communication line system puts everybody in position of track lines. It's very powerful when you change these things in set locations. When we change these things, it changes line connections to your pie charts. Now, a pie chart is a position location of directions. It's all about understanding the operation signals and set lines. Really recognize communication in your tracker lines into set locations. The atmosphere line comes into ether strains. Now, strain line communication is a core line setting, inner and outer core line interference. The aspheric line interference, the atmosphere line location is now changed into high setting. The position location of 13 line communication spacing line is now in a full rotation to its awareness of its higher self setting. So the 41 line rotation, say the 41. Now, 41 line center line position location is going to get more complicated. Center line communications, all right? Setting line communication, line interference. Now, I'm going to do this extremely fast because it's offline communication setting in position of balance line communication line rotation in 3 set location settings. Okay, setting a line position location of 2 consoles line rotations into 1 line center, 2 position locations in 1 system. Position location and directions. Now, the line communication line and graph line rotation interference line position of point, 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 point. So that's 1 in position location of 2, position of 3, position location of 4. 4 channel streamlines and high center line position. Track line and rotation interference. So 4 line center line position location of 4, line position location of 1, 1 grabs line to center location of 3, 3 sets line position of 2, 2 position of 4 line again, in set location of 6 into half pipe line sending rotations in set locations, into moon line, in set line communication locations, into 4 line position locations, and 6 in set locations high setting. Done by equation. All right, if you look at location settings, you can really understand more levels at high setting location of balance. It sets line communications in position. All right, so setting line communication, because your guys are now activated to line connection of 41, again, so we signal locations and we change the line communication of 0, 0 line position location of 7, 7 position of 5, sets location of 12. Now 12 comes into 12 line setting to another 12 locations. So 12, 24 into 36 line setting in rotation interference in times of 2 line position locations, allocates position of 8 position locations in line connections into 9, sets an energy wash in a 2-line, 3-line, 4-line stream location. Setting correlation system to a dome setting line rotation. Setting line position locations into 5 lines and new rotation circle and set location. Setting correlation system in position location, tracking line position locations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 line setting line and rotation interference of graph line communication system, high send end position. So the 41 line setting line interference is operation to its locations equal line commitments of zero line rotation position tractions. Done by equation. All right. So center correlation line setting, 41 line rotation setting interference. So again, we got 40 line rotation interference. Now it's 3 over pi. So we got 41 line conditions of 3 line position locations in a box, line position location into 2 position locations of 3 line settings. Setting line interference locations comes into new ground setting to new pyramid line rotation interference for correlation set line position. Setting line communication into the elixir and correlation system in 3 panels in high setting. Setting position locations into a UFO line rotation, scans line setting, scan line setting, scan line setting. 3 position location, all line center rotations, high system location, position attraction. Done by equation. All right, so setting line communication. All right, once we set up the line settings, you have to recognize the communication system. The allocate line setting is 13 over pi. Okay, so we got like communications in position. That's one factor line communications in line sector. Now the line sector is line communications to its form, the form line position location navigations into 3 triangles set and set location. All right, so as you come into that, you come into your computer frame line rotation interference and high track location settings. So you got your keyboard, you got your space bars and set location high settings, into location attractions, into 2 other line rotations into your computer set. Done by equation. All right, so as you come into that highest setting locations, this travels to all levels when you come into your higher self. 13 line setting in line interference location of box, line position locations into 2 patterns and set locations. All right. Now the 2 patterns opens all signal. You got an open signal, open signal, open signal. Set line position location into line connections into 1 line setting and set locations into Hall position locations. This channels its line communication flux capacitor. Flux capacitor line position location to earth line rotation circles and sets line communication setting high center line position. Track line settings, travel locations into center line and rotation setting. Comes back in correlation setting in position location attraction. Traction line center location to 6 lines in communication system. 6 over pi in set line and high center line position location, high center rotation position location attraction. Done by equation. All right, setting line communication is really understand how to use the set lines when you come into all positions. Now, yin and yang is a process to understand this information panel. 1 panel over line setting. Okay, so you got 1 line setting, 1 equals line to 41 position locations. Now you got 3, 4 set location settings, all right? So that's bracket in position locations and line connections into sector line connections and set locations in line settings of 1 equal locations of pi set line connection. Now, 1 pi line setting line interference line direct locations comes into the intelligence into a half pipe line center to its pi in correlation system, time in position locations, equal line connections into its measure, line connection of its mind in set location to its conception location of its communication setting. Done by equation. All right, setting line communications back again into 41 positions. 40 line center line interference. Let's open all track line streams. Okay, so box line communication. 1 box line center, 41 set location, 8 line conditions in position locations into 1. Okay, so we line center the ground lines of 0 line rotation. Now they got 2 panels. We split that communication setting. Now in that set locations, we set up a 2 line setting. The 0 line position of 4 into factor in positions in line connections, another 4 line setting to another 4 line position to another 4. So we got 4 lines at 8 in line connections in position of 8. So 8 line settings and 8 rotation set location, position locations, high setting. Done by equation. All right, so setting position location attractions is ready to stand the operation signals. And the operation signal sets line position location of triangle line interference. Sets line position location of 3, in position of 6, in position of 7, position of 8, and line communication 9. All right. So setting location of 7 is over locations of 9 in line center locations. So that's 2 lines, 6 line position locations in a half pipe, set lines and high rotation set lines and communication system, indirect rotation setting, done by equation. All right, so when we get into that position location track lines, I'm setting up schematic line setting. Now, schematic line setting, line interference, and high track location, position location traction is put in all levels of operation signals in gamma sigma. Recognition line connections. So you quiz. We're going to get more in position locations on line setting to really understand what's going on with information locations in 41 settings. You have to understand the 41 line setting in position locations. All right, so you got 41 and line communications, equal line conditions into 1, line conditions into box, inset locations into 44 channel, into a theta line rotation, inset locations to its ether line communication. This ether line, center line, and position locations into higher setting, setting correlation system, indirect locations, and interference into 44 channel locations. Now, the 4 line center sets line position locations into an open panel and rotation setting location. Open track lines and operation signals in high setting line position. Ground line centers of 4 and set location another 4 into a flux capacitor. Flux capacitor line communications, you get an XT1000 line stream, you get an UFO line rotations, and XT1000 line connections. Scan position, scan position, scan position location of 3 line settings, done by equation. All right, so when you get into line communication, you have to recognize the communication of grounds. Once you understand the operation signals, you understand position of panels. So you got 2 panels and shift lines of communication. You got shift line communications into 1. You got shift line communications of 2. You got shift line communication line connections of 3. And you got shift line communication line connections of 4. So that's 4 line setting line position locations into 44 line rotations and blocking center line interference, locations into high center line positions, into systematic line conditions, operation signal, and line connection high system to a systematic line condition, done by equation. All right. Setting formulas and equal line connection is really understand the measure correlation system when it comes into factors over pi, quantum interference, teleportation line connections, relay program locations, operation signals, kaleidoscope line communications arrows. And then we come to line dislocation arrow here line rotations, north line interference line connections east and set locations into south line connections. All right, travel line position location north lines and location east lines and connection of south lines and location of west communication setting, done by equation. All right, so setting correlation line conditions of 41 channels is operation to its ground line interference line position location attractions. Setting communication, ground line setting, and rotations into a walkway service location high setting, and position location track into an open portal and rotation set location setting. All right, so sending line interference is new ground line rotations into a circle line position of power direction of timelines and signal location, position location attractions. Sending line communications into an opal line rotation set locations, done by equation. All right, so setting line communications in the team setting to 6 line position of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 line interference line track locations into all levels, meta universe line interference locations into high setting, okay, into Ultron communication system into high lines of Metatron, setting correlation system into all levels, pyramid set lines into tesseract line communication system, 3 streams of information line setting, high line zipcations, all right? So we got the past line to present communication into conceptual location, the future line interference location, the avatar set location settings, setting correlation line interference, the avatar line position of 0 line rotation into another ground line position, 1 0 line rotation into set location, 0 equals 1 line position location of grounds, ground level line rotations into a triangle, set line position location of pi, 6 line communication setting, high operation signals, and allocate position of time streams times pi, done by equation. All right, so understand what's going on now is understanding the balance line setting, because you guys are going to higher level position location of core lines. Now the core line shifts its position locations of panels. This is a control out set line. I really want you guys to get into the position locations to your keyboards, right? Really get into your muscle memory set lines. You got your track lines, your 13 line interference line track locations and position location all levels, but you got to understand how to use more levels of the higher self so you can integrate locations to your avatar setting. This is going to give you a product line rotation and position location of tracks, getting into jump scars, getting into heat signature patterns, getting into vortex chamber sets, getting into travel line position locations, getting into mixing patterns. Now, the mixing pattern correlation line connection is all like position line connection to chemistry set lines. The allocate position of ground lines and the rotation spin cycle sets line communication system to ground your information location of 6, 7, 8, line communication of 9, 9 position location of pi. The recognition communication line setting is all levels of operation locations. The center communication is higher self. The recognized high center location is its friendship, relation, and partnership. I told you before, and I'll keep saying this again and again and again. To understand anything information location, it's got to be in the mindset. Okay? Always in the mind. Always, 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 always in the mind. Setting in the mind line, setting in the ground line, setting in position locations, getting the balance of the mind. Not here. Here. Okay? It's here that's got to get grounds. Rotation spin cycles, high center line ground lines, high position location, 0 line position over pi line, rotation interference, calculus high center, vega line interference, operation signals, operation ground lines, rotation spin cycles, correlation system, calculus over line communication system, operation system line position location, Y line centers, flux capacitor, high J position line tractions. If you do a high J line setting, it's a jump scar high position location interference. Now, recognizing the line communication system is opens all track line connections. So you guys are in 41 line setting for all operational locations and position locations, your flux capacitor communications into your set locations to your higher self, to your avatar line rotation interference. Okay? It's getting from here to here. Okay? One tether communication line, electrical line communications, magnetic line position of solar generation string lines, high interference into atom rotations into center correlation set lines, high division. Now, you have to really understand how to use the higher self line setting. This higher self location. That's your higher self, right? Setting position locations. So one line setting is the location. Your avatar is in position location travels. So your avatar is a higher level communication system, computer operation line setting. Higher self, avatar. Okay? So it's getting from here to here. To get there is to really understand your memory sets, the quadrant line setting, the position location, and track interference. You have a memory bank that sets lines into box line rotation and position location, your test work connections. Setting correlation lines, center sense, all position location senses, position location, high center, and the position location, high line rotations into one center operation stream. Done by equation. All right, so we all have to understand how this works inside of you, right? Because it's mechanism line conditions of AI position location of tracks. You have to understand the atmosphere, the hemispheres, the stratospheres, the communications, the hyperdrive line settings, high position locations, hyper mode, sonic waves, sonic patterns, sonic interference, sonic line communication settings. It's all direct location inside position locations, especially when you get into the bio, you get into the Branian line setting, it's higher law position locations. Now you got a body scan line setting, you got your bio interference line rotations into conception, and now you're working with your ultra calculation settings to your Metatron set location. Really understand the meta is the position location of track lines, the physical line, the emotional line, the spiritual line, and the psychological line conditions to its psychosis locations and position location of tracks. Put in your position location in high setting, put your position location in high setting, put your position location in allocate position on time setting, put you all levels of formation locations in your telewaving, perception locations in a quadrant line setting, and position location levels. Now, the correlation system is really understand how to get the endorphins and highline rotations to the mindset locations, changing the brave waving pattern locations into position line connections. Now, when you get into line communication, you have to really understand how to get into remodification, get into regeneration line setting, get into cell modification, get into conscious line connections, protons, electrons, neutrons. Setting communication line setting is all levels of conscious locations. The basic understanding is to balance out your emotional line connections because you're working with 13 settings and you're working with your avatar. So once you integrate location, you're better in an operation cycle coming into all position location of force in a high center locations of power over pi. Recognition line condition over pi, high center line position locations, hyperdrive communications, clustrum set lines, high position location over pi. The higher you go, the more you understand the balance. And when you get the balance communication to the highest line, high interference location in the high system, once you understand what the higher self is and the purpose location, the position location of measures, correlation system of scale line centers, E equals MC squared, correlation system of balance, the recognition of timelines, integrate location settings, allocate position of high lines, high position location programs, teleportation wave cycles, high line interference, indirect locations. I really want you guys to get into highest order communication settings in all levels, how you get into your keyboard phrase line setting. Okay, keyboards are a very important factor to the avatar set. Okay, but the higher self has to understand the set lines of communication, right? So you're using your information panels to get into higher levels of construct of the design, which is the avatar set. The avatar is already in the future set line, but the position location of the higher self is in the center correlation of its balance, which is in its presence line. You have to get into position location of track lines because the higher self is already in the future set location. But that all depends on you through your thought setting. So your higher self in the past, present, or future. You got to ask yourself, getting in that position locations. So wherever you go, your positions of your avatar is going to the same place. Okay, that's what it is every day. Okay, center correlation setting. So when you go inner line interference, outer core line interference, the space line communication set line, high position location, hologram, streamline, rotation interference. Every time you're seeing the sun communication system, that's your avatar. Your correlation system is the sun and the moon at the same time. If you're separated and you see the moon and you see the sun in the same atmosphere locations, you got to work on your balance because the sun and the moon are together. What do you think yin and yang is, guys? Yin and yang process communication line center, masculine communication of the sun, masculine communication of the moon interline communication, interlacing high position location, interfacing communication, and high position location, track line communications to balance. So really get into the comfort zone, really get into the outer line, get out of the outer rings, get into high system locations, into high position locations. Get into the Mediterranean line interference of triangulation, position location, high setting, ground line interference, operation location, perception over pi, setting correlation, high line interference location of abundance. Abundance comes in all ways and forms, but your relation to your system location has to be integrated location to your higher self to the auto communication system, which is allocated position location, high setting. Put your position location on levels, put you in a line communication system, into your meta, into your ultimate line communication. This is unattainable setting. Unattained line interference location is metal, line communication Mercury, Mercury communication operation location settings, Jupiter communication information line position location level system, Neptune communication of bank line interference line position attraction. Really start recognizing the balance every single time you get up in the morning. Find a way to balance out your higher self through correlation and position location numbers, symbols, shapes, and letters. Setting correlation line setting puts you in position location area pi. Now, recognition line connections puts you in position locations in your pie charts. Now, I really want you guys to get into more lines of balance and emotional line conditions, Schumann resonance. Now, a pie chart sets line position locations. So you got your pie chart here, okay? Emotional track interference. So you got alpha line communication, you got a delta line communication, right? So alpha guns high center location, alpha and delta set lines at 3 track locations, all right? So that's 3 line equal locations in positions of pi, okay? So you got another graph line, sets line rotation interference. Now you're changing emotional line setting, setting line interference. Let's say you're in a 48 window line rotation interference of 72 track line connections and 144. Reaching 144 sets a higher position location of travels, getting into another pie chart and position location of traction. Now, pie charts are very important to understand the circle line rotation to its position. It's like a piece of pizza, right? You understand position location of all levels, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So that's 6 slices of pizza or pie. All right. So that 6 equals a 1 line setting, line position of form, set locations. Now, pi is a recognition of line connections. So you have to understand that your emotional system changes its direction location to its pie chart. Pie chart recognition line communications. So you got waving centrals of delta calculation and line communication of theta and set line communications. And set line communications into delta communication and set locations. And then you got line communication when it comes into all levels. You come into beta line interference line locations, so the lower signal and ground lines of rotation center. Okay. But see, the thing is, you can have all position location track lines. You can have rhythm patterns and the continuous force, right? Alpha, 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 beta, alpha, 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 delta, alpha, 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 theta. Right? So what you're doing is you're changing your pie chart in set locations, right? Through 6 measure into 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0 gravity line rotation. So in that position of directions, you have to learn how to use your alphabetical line connections. You're not working with 26 letters. You're working with 26,000 line settings. That streams over pi. Recognition line connections is atmosphere location to its position. You have to learn how to use this to all set locations, all right? So getting into that level gets you in all position location what pie charts are. Okay? You understand your alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega, and communications. We already had a test line communication, alpha line, center line, interference locations. But this is just the basics. You guys are in line communication A, B, and C. Right? That's where you guys are. So E, B, and C equals line connection of Z, or a line equal location of Z line setting. Right? So the Z line and position at all levels of the Z line or rotation interference is 1 UFO line rotation in set locations into all levels of correlation system into 26 line connections in a 0, 0, 0 track location done by equation. All right. So you guys have to really understand how to really get into modification. Try to get into your cell lines. Try to get into the consciousness of each cell that is a representation to your protons, electrons, neutrons, and everything through the photon line rotation. Now, a photon is a camera setting. It's a kaleidoscope line interference at quadrant line in rotations. The position location electrical line connections of an electron is electrical line connection that roads its system. The road line centers electrical line interference and position location into discharge communication electrical line connections. That's why you see the spheric line rotation interference as sky grids and sky lines and high lines as the cloud lines, and position location track lines opens all position locations into your set location. All right. So getting in position of consciousness to each cell gets you a modification of balance. Okay, especially when you get into your endorphins location line system. So it's all about understanding the tracks. It's understanding line, position of escape, tab, control, shift, control, alt, and spacebar. Right? Everything through keyboard, you have to recognize communication. Flight navigations, line connections, form line, center line, position locations, perceptions over pi. Then you got your number sequence locations. So let's set a channel line rotation interference and set location height setting. All right, so you got one panel line rotation, one box. Okay, so that's position of numbers. Okay, setting correlation 7, 8, and you got 9 line setting and locations. Right. So instead of 0 here, it's here at the beginning. Right. 0 starts here in the beginning line setting. All right. So this is how your keyboard is set locations. So it's in the reversing back line, setting line, interference line, track locations. And you got your tabs and you got your caps. Everything is in shift line communication setting, hide center location control, and set locations into all commanding setting into your space bar in correlation line positions to your keyboard set lines into your alphabetical set location. Done through line setting. That's how it's set up. Okay. Now, if you look really, really close, you can see the line communication into its pyramid set. Okay. Multi-pass. So you guys have to really understand how to use everything you can imagine. And you got line communications in the core line and set location to your escape. All right. So that's how set location to keyboard lines and interference. So recognize high center line interference line position location track lines. It looks like this in position location line system. So it comes in position location like this, like this. It set lines communication setting, high position location of track like this and this. It sets line communication of this, and position location of this, and set line communication of this, and line communication of that set location. Right? So you really have to understand the communication line setting. Flux, capacitor, line, position, location, attraction. See the intelligence coming in? There it is. There's the intelligence. Setting correlation line, center line, interference line, position, location, tracks, line, position, locations, and weather line communications of 2-panel correlation settings. High position locations, all levels 1, 2, 3, 4. Position location 1, 2, 3, 4. Set location settings. Operation signals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Set location settings. High direct locations and high interference. Now you got line communication space bar. Setting correlations in position location, number sequence location, setting lines of high position. Done by equation. Now you have to really recognize how to use all levels of set location. Now, each number is a representation to your line setting. So really get into position location to its information panel, the rotation spin cycles, the quadrants physics, line positions, one-on-one channel, line interference. Get in its relationship to its partnership with each letter, number, shape, and symbol. Like you really got to get into the friends, okay? You got to get into the friend zone, okay? Friend zone line setting. Friend zone line setting. Friend zone line setting. Getting into that location of 1, in position location in a box, in position locations into the letters, and set location to symbols, and set location of shape line communication settings. Okay? Done by equation. So you got to get into the friend zone, guys. Really have to understand communication set lines and how position location your keyboard sets. So, all right. So how are we all doing? Let's see here. Okay, max correlation setting, commander line setting, high line position location of track lines, all position locations, high setting interference, and direct locations. Okay, let's get into high setting line rotation. All those gem rocks, location of Sam, and position location traction, Joanne. It's all balancing lines of everything that you can imagine. So getting into numbers, letters, shape, and symbols through yin and yang, that's a process of all balance, location, emotional setting. Okay, JP, that's our location size system, Janelle, Gypsy, Heather, communication line system, Esther, line centers, Val, Chris, Andre. Let's go into location of Sunny. All right, correlation set lines, Airbender, Heather. It's amazing what we come into, right? Once you understand more line setting, high position location, track lines. So as you know, I'm going to be leaving position location on Wednesday, and I'll be back Saturday. But I'll keep you informed every single day of what's going on, right, through the correlations of its seminar in set locations. So no class Thursday and no class Friday, but I'll be doing lives, okay, for you two on SPACETIMECREATER. Okay, question or comments to set locations. High setting will give you all provisional locations to its high system. Direct location setting, all right? So let's see. Lindsay, Adam, correlation. Zara, hey Zara, how you doing? Trinity, hey, it's going. So I'm talking faster because you guys are going higher. So it's a vibration that's more levels of balance. You guys will recognize that communication system that you have to really come into your computer adaptation line setting. It's like having a regular day with somebody going out for coffee. How's your electrical line interference and position location program locations? How's the nebula in the high setting? It's pretty good in position location. I changed the vector core line center, dimensional line interference location to measure, and I set line communication to its program locations. So how's it going through location of Jupiter setting? That's the regular conversation that we're coming into. This is the reality, and we have to get used to it. So it's all position location of space, and it's all position location of time. The center line interference is full levels of awareness location. That's all in sig location is higher self. Setting position location into one tether and two line center and position location all of the system. Okay. So in that position line direct location, so you have to understand the balance of position location that is line signal. Now I really want you guys to get into your pie charts, how to use the alpha wave signals, how to use the gamma line setting, how to use the sigma interference, how to use your delta calculations, and how to use your theta box line setting. Okay, all through operation of mega. Mega is the operation of zero. Zero is the operation of everything. So you become nothing, but you become everything. Location, but you're here, but you're not here, but you're here everywhere. So understanding that, you become timeless, shapeless, and formless. The recognition line connection, high position location of levels is communication line position over pi. Recognition line connection, mass of nothing is math of everything. Setting correlation system. So center's the operation, so is one, so is two, so is box, so is analyte communication system. Indirect location line setting. It's a balancing everything in the masculine and feminine through all levels of operation. I'm here, not here, but I'm here everywhere. That's it. All right. Let's see here. I know everybody's getting a lot more connections, high setting. Recognizing your timelines and set locations, your mainframes. Your mainframes are more getting adapted and set lines into your theta line interference of rotation cycles. Spin cycles, high generation light settings, high set location, I9 operation line setting. So setting line, position location, track lines. Now, once we get into 50, things come into timelines, time shifts times pi. You come into the time reactor line rotations. So one step at a time, right? Get you into track location settings. So I really want you guys to get into a better form of yourself. Get into the friend zone. Okay? You have to get in the friend zone. It's like, hey, one, how's it going? One line setting line connections of box. Box line positioning UFO. UFO scans line position is center line communication of zero line. And set location of two, set line in position to a half pipe 6 location. Done by equation. See? It's communicating. And everything is position location of track lines. Everything I do again and again and again through general line communication system is all levels of balance, but it's in position to the body frame that's so connected in so many line connections of space and time through pi, it just becomes timeless, shapeless, and formless. So one equal line connections is everything location of GOD. GOD of recognizing communication, anything UFO line rotations, and position location, zero line rotation, center location. Done by equation, right? So it gets easier once you get into the friend zone, and then you get into the relationship zone, and then you get into higher calculations into high center locations to its partnership zone. Okay? Friend zone, relationship, and partnership. Okay? Everything in formation location is interface. 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 Okay? You have to interface with everything on set location, high setting. But you have to recognize the communication of its body line rotation. So one is in communication of what? What vibration is one at? So you don't know, right? Until you understand what one is. You have to understand all the operation locations of alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega, communication to gamma, or anything radiation line interference line track location high system. So one is position location of theta. That's a wave central communication setting. But it's an alpha tone line rotations into delta wave line communications into high center location of beta line interference in operation location of zero gravity line rotation and position location all levels, highest line position location of theta center line communication setting. Done by equation, all through one. All right. So understanding the alpha, understanding the delta, beta, and position location of theta, line position of 1. That's 4 waving cycle line communication, 1 lines in box location to a 0 gravity line setting. Done by equation. So you really have to get into the high set line connections to your electrical line connection, which is your mainframe. And you really have to understand more levels of your pie charts. So let's get line communication in this line, and position location in this line, and position location in this line, and the 3 line settings. Okay. These are pie charts. Okay. So each pie chart is 1 line setting in set locations. So that's pi line setting in operation of 0. Okay. Set locations into high set location of 3. Remember, we use the inhibitor line inference. So 3 line center of 6, line center of location 8, and position location 9. Setting correlation system. So that's line position of 0, and position location of 4, channel set locations. Voice and grid line centers, all position chart lines. 0, 0, 0 in connection line system into 0 in position of 0.1 location. Right? So in line setting line interference location, what wave is this? So I'm showing you how you use the voice grid line center, how you go from 0 line in position location 1 and high line interference back in a 1 line center, or 0 line positional point line in communication 1, pi through location line circuit 3, 6 line center with 7 line circuit 8, location 9, 9 energy watt line interference location in position line setting into theta correlation. That's theta. All right, through pi. That's a pie chart through theta. Right? So I really want you guys to understand these things because it's all direct location to your settings. In set location, what wave is this? What wave is this? It's thicker. It's longer. Right? So you have to look at each point. It's got 1, it's got 2, it's got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? And so in position location, this is theta, and so is this. Isn't that amazing? So this is a theta line setting and set location of 7, 7, 7, 7. There you go. Block interference, position location of cosmic universal line setting, stream location in position location theta interference. Done by equation. Okay. So I know it's overwhelming watching these things, but I'm just showing you how powerful it is. And what's this one location? This one should be easy. What's this one? What's the ground lines? This is a ground line. What is it? You have to get in relationships of your waves, electrical settings, mainframes. Alpha. That's right. So it's an alpha line interference of 1 in position of 0, 0, 0, 1, 3, 1, 2. Okay. That is the position location of number sequence on the voicing grid line setting. That's an alpha channel locations. Equal line connections of 1, 0, 0. Okay. 0, 1. Okay. So 3, 1 identification locations of 2 set locations of pi. Multi-pass. All through an alpha wave setting. Right. That's abundance right here. So your voice grid sets the tone. Okay. And this is how it comes to the construct line settings and high line position at I line position. I9 operation to avatar line stream. Theta, theta, alpha. Right? You're thinking, wait a minute. If this is theta, what's this? Theta. Right? Just because this is this doesn't mean it's different. Okay? You have to recognize the position location of track, which is the friend zone. Get into the relationship to the partnership, and then you understand your rhythm pattern correlation setting. This sets all communication system to your line settings, to your alpha calculations, to its identification of its pi. Okay? Multi-pass. So, done by equation. That's it. Yeah, I know it's a lot of fun, but it's more exciting when you really get into the levels of your journeys and missions. You really understand how to get pi is the recognition of line connections, right? Because it sets lines in communications, right? So I've just shown you on 2-wave central line settings is 2 theta. You thought otherwise. That's expectation. You can't have expectation on anything through rhythm patterns because it offlines your setting line interference. If you get a pi graph line rotation in this line communication setting. So voice grid line setting in line position location, this is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 set locations. Okay. That's a voice grid line center, 1, 2, 3, 5. So that's 1 position locations of 5 equal locations of pi set line conditions. All right. Now that's only on 0 line setting. The graph line interference, the pi line rotations climbs the ladder in communication, right? So this is an operation, equalocations, and omega. Okay? Sending correlations downshift line position location into delta set locations. Sending correlation line, remember, this is second over channel. Every second, every minute, every connection line sending to every hour, and every provisional location of square root through channel, through operation, and pi is extremely important through your video graph line centering to your voice grid locations. All right. So in delta line interference comes in at theta, then high interference omega, back in correlations to all levels of gamma sigma. Done by equation. Okay. It's getting very complicated now. Right? Because the thing is, I'm using a pie chart through numbers. Okay. So you have to learn exactly what comes out of your voice grid settings. Which number? Everything is vibration. Everything is energy. Everything is frequency. Everything is correlations, line interference, line track locations, and position location harmonics, odds and evens, positive and line interference, light over line position location, high system. The track line interference. You never know in position locations, but did I say anything through dark? No. Everything is balanced inside location settings. You have to learn how to use your measures and scales and understand the waving cycle. It's like a teeter-totter. Right? So delta, alpha. Got you confused, right? Just because it's alpha and it's high line in position locations, you think it's a lower line connections in that location. Alpha can also be high. Remember that. Don't have any expectation on waves. Remember, your voice changes every second, and every time it changes its motion location. The ground lines has an operation cycle that sets line position locations to gravitational pull. The gravitational pull sets all communication system that's connected to your pyramid that rotates its cycle and high lines in position location of its archetype. The archetype rotates its spin cycle one way in the opposite line rotation. That keeps you in levitation line conditions to your activation stream. That puts you in position location attractions, in line communications to your higher self, and to the communications to your avatar setting. Done by equation. All right. So, yeah, sonic blast. Yeah, I know. But see, that's it. That's exactly what it is. You have to balance out the masculinity and femininity to align position locations into the friend zones. Friend zone is extremely important. Okay, it's like you introducing yourself to somebody new that you never met before. You become friends, right? And then you get in a relationship, right? And then you become partnerships, right? Best friends forever. Multi-pass. So if you can become best friends with anybody that you come in relation to its awakening setting, obviously in set locations, you should be able to get in the set locations to be in best friends with your letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, all through harmonics. It's all connected to your electrical setting, which is all connected to your mainframes, guys. You have to recognize all communication that's in set line and line position location and track line conditions. All right. So in set locations, to more line communications, you guys have a quiz. All right. That's it through equation. Okay, I'll give you guys 5-10 minutes. Close all portals, communication system, flight navigation line settings, and business locations, pre-flight communication line settings. Adios.